Hey everybody, welcome JK Dex Garage. So today we are going to do kind of like a part 3-ish on that installing this trunk floor pan. We got to get this thing off the body cart. We need to get the stuff that I cut around to get this out of the car, clean that up to get ready for the new one, and then we're going to do some prepping on this new floor pan. Also, we got the frame rails all prepped, so stick with us and we'll go over all that. Alright, time to clean up all this stuff up in here. I'm going to get this out of here. Possibly have to take out some of the trunk drop off stuff to be able to get the floor pan back in here, but man, you can see all the goop and everything. I think I'm going to try the air chisel. I'm not saving any of that. The wheel wells will get changed out, and I know they don't look too bad, but man, right up in here it is rusted through, right in the seam there. You get up underneath, I just don't think it's worth saving. So yeah, it's all rusty and crusty between them. I think I'm better off. I've got the new ones. So anyways, and we'll clean up the package tray there. Just a little bit of hammer and dolly to flatten where I air chiseled those out, and we'll prep it with some weld through primer. All right, so got the inside prepped, got the trunk drop-offs out of here, just hammered and dollied the old wheel wells a little bit, just so that I'd have some sort of a reference for when I put the new floor pan in. And those are all going to be, well, those will be replaced, the inners and the outers. And then of course where the package tray is, I just hammered and dollied some of the dimples out of there, wire wheeled those, the little bit of rust off there. They weren't too bad. Put some weld through primer on there. And yeah, as I was taking these drop-offs out, which are right here, as you can see, this is the driver's side drop-off, and I noticed that this is the inner tail pan. So it looks to me like the drop-off is sandwiched between the inner tail, tail brace there, and the outer pan. It's kind of gnarled up, but so I wrote that down. Crusty. Anyways, I wrote that down just because you got to pay attention to when you're taking these things apart. If you don't and you just start cutting away, well, I guess then you can refer back to YouTube videos on people taking their floor pans out or trunk floors out and putting their tail pans in and stuff like that. But always be thinking ahead of the next move. So anyways, all right, I think next I'm going to take this brace out right here. Got to take all the weather stripping out from the gutter here, so you can get at this. I think it's this bracket is, this thing focus, I think that bracket is spot welded underneath the weather stripping. So yeah, let's get to that. All right, well, Kelly started taking out this weather stripping here, and I noticed that this bracket right here is not centered. I don't know if you can, is not centered on the trunk opening here. So I took some measurements. There they are right there, if that helps you. And I'll show you where I took those measurements from. Grab my stick ruler here, and what I did is I just laid it on there, got it pushed up there. So yeah, so I put it right up against the quarter panel there, put it up against the quarter panel there, and got my measurements. So now I've got a mark in the center there that I scribed into the metal, so when I go to clean that up, yeah, that scribe mark will still be there, and I'll know where the center is. But referring back to this, I got my measurements. So kind of redundant, but I don't know. It's just what I do. All right, Kelly's taking the weather stripping out of there, and I am going to get the drill and take these 5 spot welds out of there, get this bracket off. All right, Kelly's got this all off of there, the weather stripping. Now I'm going to get this out. I'm just going to pre-drill. Got my spot weld cutter here. I don't want to damage this if we're replacing the tail pan. Is fine, but this I don't want to bend all up or get a bunch of holes in, because I'll be spot welding back through or plug welding back through this way. So. There it is. It's off of there. That didn't take much. Boy, that thing was barely, now you can see, that spot weld didn't even take. That one was on the end that I didn't even do, but that one wasn't hardly on there either. So, well, anyways, that's off for now. Kelly will be happy to get this all cleaned up in the blaster. Get these little pieces off of here, get that prepped and ready to be put back in. And yeah, okay, I think we'll move on. Okay, trunk floor pan. Yeah, we got some prepping to do, remove some of this EDP coating and stuff like that in the different places. And if you didn't check it out, we put that spare tire hold down in. Check out the previous video. It shows you how I got the measurements and made up a little template and stuff for that. And yeah, I think what we'll do, it's kind of better if I take this outside. So let me just get this outside, and it'll be easier to kind of walk it around and stuff. And then we also got to get the frame rails prepped and ready so we can get that all on the jig right here, and or body cart or whatever you want to call it. And we'll take that old stuff off of there. As you can see, I've got some tape on there for some reference points. We'll go over all that stuff and get that old thing off of there. Alright, got the trunk floor pan out in the patio in the back. I'm going to get this prepped up. There's the frame rails. Going to have a little fire tonight right here. Got some sticks I got to burn up. That's what I'm going to use to get the EDP coating off of here. And yeah, we'll get this all prepped up and probably take it back in the garage and show you what we got. It's a little less noisy in there. Alright, so got basically the top side, or whatever you want to call it, done. So all of this, I don't know if you could see, but I always go up a little bit farther than I think I have to on the top and on the bottom there, even around the edges here. So when you see that weld through primer after I primed it, because I'm not a very good painter, that's why I want to make sure that anything that's going to overlap is coated and weld through primer. You know, I know you don't have to do this because these cars won't see much of the salt and rain and stuff like that. Top side weld through primered. As you can see, I'm not a very good painter, so I just hold a piece of cardboard up there so I don't get it all over the place. But yeah, everything seems to be good. And now I'll flip it over and I'll show you what we're going to do on the back side there. All right, well, bottom side's done, as you can see. I'll get this back in the garage, and it's not so shiny out here, and I'll go over why I prepped where I prepped. So, all right, onto the frame rails. Right, so I just wanted to show you that this is a AMD floor pan that we've already installed, and it has the seatbelt hold down nuts, I guess you would call them, installed on there already. So yeah, let me show you what the frame rails
All right,
got.
so these are CHL frame rails that I got from Firebird Central, and these have the seatbelt tie-down brackets already on them here. So one or the other, I either have to take them off of the floor pan or I have to take them off of the frame rails. And right now, since the floor pan is in, I'm taking them off the frame rails. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drill these spot welds out on the underside here, leave the holes so I can burn them into the plate that's on the floor pan right now. So yeah, all right, let's get to doing that.
So took those seatbelt hold downs off of there, and you can see they came off pretty good. A little bit, you know, it's not as rusty as I thought it might be. When you take that other parts off of this EDP coating, they got in there pretty good. I'm going to say that these were nothing to actually get taken off of there. They pretty much popped right off, kind of like the ones on the original one. If you saw. Yeah, that's ready to go. Let's get this thing prepped and weld through primered. Okay, frame rails are all prepped. They are weld through primered. Everything's good to go. I'll get these things in the garage and we'll go over a little bit more prepping we need to do to these. It's about 1,000% humidity out here. Thank goodness the sun went down a little bit, or went behind the clouds anyways. So yeah, let's get these in the garage. Go over the floor pan and these frame rails on what we got to do next. Just going to quickly run over the prep on this trunk floor pan and why. All right, so obviously we got the back that butts up to the tail pan. These little tabs here got to go for the this is the inner tail brace right here, butts up to that. These have to be bent down, so I will be doing that so that that'll fit in there. Get underneath here. So right through here, that's where the trunk drop off goes. This is where the frame rails go. Obviously the wheel wells go on the sides. And then this is area right here is where it butts up to the full floor pan in there. So I'm just trying to think as far ahead as possible because this inner tail pan will have to be prepped as well. So I'm kind of getting this all fit up, is that right? Anyway, and then down here, the frame rails, obviously, this is where it's going to attach to the floor pan. And I'm going to pre-drill holes in these here so that I don't have to try and get underneath there and do it later. And this is the back of one of the frame rails right here. I won't pre-drill these because these will be in the back. This is what goes up against the tail pan here. So those I'll be able just to screw through. So one thing I did with these frame rails too is I bent these tabs down. I put this down and these back. It's easier to pound them forward when you get them ready to be welded in if they're not right up tight. But if they're sticking out and run into that and they're not flat, you're gonna fight that trying to get that back out, and I don't want to be doing that. It's easier to pound it forward when you're getting ready to install them. So anyways, kind of like the same thing with these tabs. Now, one thing I am gonna do is, I don't know if you can see this, but right here, you see how this is kind of welded at an angle here on the this brace right here is kind of welded at an angle. This one's pretty straight. This one's almost right on. I'm not gonna take this off right now, but what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna plug weld underneath here, the frame rail underneath here, as opposed to screwing it down and welding it straight through all three layers here. Because later when I go to put the tail pan on, if it doesn't line up, and this is the problem here, if this is keeping it twisted or whatever, I can just drill out these spot welds right here and
I can shift it where it needs to be and then re-plug weld it back down. So anyways, that's pretty much the prep I need to do. All right, so one more thing I got to do with these, with this trunk floor is, if you can see right here, it kind of, maybe get the angle a little bit better here, but it kind of sticks out right here just a little bit. And this is kind of angled down away from it a little. And on this side here, this side isn't too awful bad. I mean, it's not awful bad anyways on the other side either, but this sticks out just a little bit right here and is at a little bit of an angle. I'm just going to take my hammer and pound that flat. That way I don't have any issues with the wheel wells when they go in being at a different angle or twisting or anything like that. So that's one thing I'm going to do to this floor pan as well. So, you know, check yours out, see if it's, make sure it's they're straight before you put it in. So, all right, so I'm just going to show you what I use to drill these out. Obviously a drill, and then I have a 1/8 inch bit here, 5/16 here. I want a little bit bigger because this is some thicker stuff here, and then a 1/2 inch to actually clean out the burrs. This 1/2 inch works on cleaning the burrs out really good. Plus it gives just a little bit of a bevel. Nothing major, but I think it helps the weld a little bit, especially like on the side that's not coated with weld through primer. So let me get that, let's show you how that works. Cleans them burrs right off of there. You can see this one's got quite a few burrs on that one there. I just that's it. That's all it took. Burr free, and it's took a little bit of that black off. So yeah, hopefully that'll help the weld a little bit. So just thought I'd bring you along for that. That's what I do. All right. Well, temperature says it's too hot to be out here. So that's going to about wrap it up for this floor pan here. And the frame rails, they're all prepped and ready to go. All right, as you can see, I got the garage door closed because it's cooler in the garage at 90 degrees than it is outside at 100. So anyways, that's going to wrap it up for getting this floor pan and frame rails prepped and ready to go onto the body cart there, where we're going to take that thing off and put this stuff right here on there. Hopefully my jigs and everything work out. Yeah, I know this is kind of a long video, but like I said, this is geared more for the first timers who are wondering what their next move is. And before you go jumping in and throwing that floor pan in and the frame rails in, just a couple things if you want to get it prepped and ready to install. So like I said, I prep with a weld through primer. You don't have to. I'm sure your car will be just fine. A lot of people don't, but that's just what I do. So anyways, appreciate you coming along as always. Please hit that like and share, and again, subscribe. Remember, it's free. So anyways, thanks for coming along, and we'll see you on the next one.